Hi, my name's Cordy, and you're looking at me from a different angle for some reason. I was asked to take a look at this lick from a video that I put up Tuesday last week, kind of looking at a Robin Ford style helix HX stomp podgo tone, and I thought I might talk about how to actually do this kind of listening transcribing stuff, in case it's not that clear how people potentially do this, and maybe we could talk about things. So the original lick, so let's imagine you're listening to a video or whatever, and you get to it and you hear, this is generally what my process is. So if I've heard a piece of music, so I'm listening and this thing happens, so that thing happens, I think, oh, that sounds like something that I want to learn. So it's generally not going to happen with one of my own licks, but it might be that I'm listening to Jonathan Kreisberg or Robin Ford or someone like that, and I hear this thing, I think, oh, that's interesting. So the first thing that I would do, probably, depending on how fast it was, so this particular lick is not crazy fast or anything, so I might not do this, but use the YouTube slow down thing. So you can put it to 75% speed or 50% speed. If that's where you're learning from, I think it's quite a useful tool. The other way of doing things, I guess, you could drop it into a digital audio workstation if it's not a video, if it's an audio track, and then you can just slow things down in that. So that might be a way to do things. But I think if it's not already obvious, slowing things down is generally a good way to get a better shot at getting the thing down slightly quicker. So I might slow it down. So here's it slightly slower, and what I'm going to try and notice on this listen through is the key. So I'm going to try and find the key that we're playing in, or like, where we start, and also I'm going to try and notice where we are in relation to the beat when the lick actually starts. I'm going to count along with it. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so sounds to me like we're in D minor. So that's step 1, identify the key, and step 2, identify where you're going to be starting. So I'm going to think that we're going to start on beat 2. Then normally I wouldn't necessarily write this down as I was learning it. I don't necessarily write down all of the licks that I learn. And also, so I've listened to the subdivisions, etc. And for this particular lick, we're going to be using 16ths the whole way, right? Because I guess you've heard it as well. So you want to identify the time, and then so I'm going to start transcribing at beat 2, and so we listen. So get the lick to where it actually starts with your playhead, and then so I can start writing that down, so I can see what's happening there. So we start on fret 13. So I might just listen to that a couple more times, just to make sure. So Okay, so then once you've got that first bit down, I think it makes sense to try and move the playhead to where you're going to be next. So we've got through the first bar. I'm watching also, I'm not just listening for the notes, but I'm also looking at hand position, so that I'm not just writing in any old position. So also I think it's important to say, if you've identified that you're in D minor to start with, it makes all of this kind of easier, or D minor or D Dorian, whatever the flavour is that you're using. You're not just guessing around, things generally move kind of scale wise, and so you've got the kind of, you're only kind of guessing between 7 notes and some chromatic stuff what is generally going to be happening. Okay. And here we are changing all the time. So I can do that from So then I would listen back to it a couple of times and try and play it. Obviously if I wasn't writing it down, that process would probably take a bit longer to memorize each part, but now, because of the way that I've written it down, it's kind of easier to remember, or easier to read, to check. So I would start back at a place where I can know that I'm in time, so sight reading sucks. Okay, so that's right from that point of view. So at this point, this is probably where I'll stop this video, just because that's what I wanted to show you in terms of process for learning the licks. So whatever complexity the lick is, whether it's easier or faster, slowing it down will really give you more of a chance to listen and hear for things. And so then, you know, if things don't quite gel when you're trying to play it along with the track, you'll know. But yeah, listen for what key you're in to start with. That'll make everything way easier. So you listen really for the bass line. So we're going between like a D minor and a G major. That'll be the first step, and then you might want to look closer at what the right hand is doing. So generally when I'm writing out or learning a thing, I'll be looking at the left hand first for the positional stuff if I've got the video, and then the right hand, I guess, is less specifically something I'm worried about, because, you know, if I was looking at a Tom Quayle lick, or a Jonathan Kreisberg lick, or a Thomas Griggs lick, or whatever, I might play things in a slightly different way to them. So I'm less concerned about the right hand unless it's something I'm specifically trying to target, like hybrid picking or something. But for this particular lick, I know how I play, so it wouldn't make sense for me to kind of meticulously look at what my right hand's doing. I might specifically just go through a couple of times and try and transcribe exactly what the right hand's doing. So I'm looking for upwards and downwards motions, and also where I'm not picking at all. So I know how I play legato, and that basically means that I'll be picking in string direction, as I've talked a few times. So, you know, if you're moving a line, you know, down the strings, I'll be using downstrokes, and if it's going up strings, I'll be using upstrokes. But that's just me. Maybe you pick in your own way, that's fine. But that's how I would break down that lick. And then what I'd next try to do is to kind of cover up bits of the transcription, so that I can try and test myself and see if I can actually memorize it without looking at it for too long. So I might do that sections at a time. Anyway, so that's just what I wanted to chat about quickly. The tab for this will be on Patreon if you want to use the tab. In the future, I thought it's kind of like that old phrase, you know, show a man how to fish and he'll ruin a lake. But anyway, thanks for watching, and if you got anything useful out of this, evidence that I actually drink coffee here. Sorry, I have a noisy chair. But hopefully that's vaguely useful, and I guess if you're wondering about how to listen to stuff and how to transcribe, this might be slightly helpful. And also, that's how I played that lick. The backing track I'll put up on Patreon as well as the tab, so you can play along with it. But if you wanted to learn this lick and post yourself playing it on Instagram or whatever, tag me in it and I'll share it. But hopefully this was vaguely useful, and I'll catch you for another one soon. Cheers!